How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji. Welcome to another episode of Tear Talk. Guys, I've been getting a lot of questions about the Axon body camera related to the incident that happened at Marcy Correctional Facility where Robert Brooks unfortunately was beaten to death by 13 officers and a nurse that may have just stood by and watched. It's a horrible incident to see. I have showed it 2 videos past, but a lot of people are asking about the Axon body cameras. How does it work? Did the officers know the cameras were on? So I want to just show you guys a video. It's a very good video. It's a good breakdown of how the Axon camera works. And then I want to talk quickly about the video recall function. And that's going to explain a lot about what you're seeing in that video. I am a big fan of body-worn cameras. It allows for transparency, allows for us to monitor misconduct. It also allows for us to check on false allegations as well. So I find it to be extremely beneficial, especially in today's world. You know, as prison management, it's great to be able to review these footages and just have evidence that you can stand on before you make any action. With that said, related to the Marcy Correctional Facility, I believe what could have happened here is when the inmate passed, it motivated people to see if they could check the videos on the body-worn cameras, and that's where the video recall function came into play. And now, guys, when you'll see here, but when you go through the video recall function, the video recall function does record before it's manually activated by the officer. But with that said, it won't have sound. That's the big difference here. So they did have their cameras on, but they didn't activate it. So I want you to know that. They did have their cameras on, but it wasn't activated. So when the cameras are on, it's recording. But once you activate it, that's where you get the sound and everything else. And the video recall function, I'll go over it again shortly, records up to 18 to 24 hours before it's actually been activated. That means the camera's turned on, but they didn't activate it. And there's a difference when you see it being activated. When it's activated, there'll be a ring of red that lets you know it's being used. They're activated, they're recording. And when it's green, it's on, but it's on standby. All right, guys, let me show you this quick video real quick. Okay, the first thing I would like to do is give a shout out to the channel who posted this great video. It's Dr. Jennifer Matthews, PhD. Thank you for posting this great video. I just want to show you guys the video real quick so she explains the usage of this camera perfectly.
This is a review of the Axon Body 3 body-worn camera. Here you have the Axon Body 3 camera. This is the on-off switch that comes on the body-worn camera. You would hold this down and you'll see the Axon symbol comes on here. You'll see that red light here to indicate that it is actually turning on. You'll also see as it is turning on, this has turned black now. So it is just booting up as we're seeing turn on here. Now you'll see it says ready. You'll see that here. You can see it both ways. It says ready. This also has a battery indicator light. So this indicator light says 70%. That says 70% there. So that tells you that this battery has a 70% charge in it already. And it says ready. So that means that it is actually ready to record right now. So here on this event button here, it has the green lights blinking. So previously, this full ring would actually be lit up. This has 1, 2, 3 indicator lights showing that it is recording. And these lights are green right now. So we know that that means that it is buffering. So to activate the camera on this event button, we would just tap it twice, similar to that of the Axon Body 2 camera. Here we go. We heard that beep. So we know now that this camera is actually recording. Here we have this video here. This video symbol to let us know that it is recording, and the light here means that it is recording here. It has turned red. These lights here are also red. To stop the recording, we'll hold it down for 3 to 5 seconds. It says saving. That says saving, and then it went back to the green to let us know that it has saved that video, and now it is back into the buffering mode. This here is the camera lens that captures everything that the camera has seen. This has four microphones on it to capture everything that the camera has recorded, and it picks up more voices. That makes this camera more durable and more efficient to capture the voices. So that's really good, and it's an upgrade from the Axon Body 2 camera. Here is also that button that we saw on the Axon Body 2 camera, so they can do that camera mounting as well the same way. Here, we still have that Axon marker button that we saw on the Axon Body 2 camera. So we press that. So this helps us with recording. When we're recording, we can press the marker here. We'll just press that one time. You can press it as many times as you need when you're making a video. So that could be for your Miranda rights or something. Let's say the suspect dropped a weapon, they dropped drugs. You can just press that button so you can immediately go back to that video and see exactly what happened versus watching the whole video and trying to remember where you saw that thing. So that is really helpful in that time as well. So it has a clear frame playback. It reduces motion blur during recording, which means it's clearer evidence during playback with a near photographic level of detail. It has alerts, live maps, and streaming using the Axon Respond. Permission staff can get alerts like when a weapon is deployed, plus view officer location when recording and activate live streams. Axon Body 3 is capable with Axon Signal wireless activation technology, so officers can focus on the situation at hand and not pressing record all the time. So that's a really unique technique that Axon has as well. And it has the video recall in the event of a late non-activation. So that is helpful to officers as well. Now, this has a 1080p video resolution, which is helpful as well. And similar to the Axon Body 2, it has the MPEG-4 video format as well. So these also are very durable as well. This camera has an 18-hour battery life. So this is an upgrade from the Axon Body 2, which only had a 12-hour battery life. So this is more longer battery life. So that's an upgrade as well. So that is a review of the Axon Body 3 body-worn camera.
So guys, I want to mention something again with the video recall function. If you notice, she mentioned it briefly. I just want to go ahead and talk about how that works. Basically, if the officer didn't activate it, but the camera is still on, and if the agency pays for it, the video footage can be recalled from 18 to 24 hours back. And when it's recalled, it's not going to have any sound, though. That's the only difference. The sound only happens when the officer clicks the activation. Now, so granted, the camera's on, and then the officer activates it. But I want to briefly go over what I have here for the Axon recall function. Is a feature available on Axon body-worn cameras that allows supervisors or authorized personnel to retrieve video footage from a device, even if the officer did not manually activate the cameras during an incident. So in this case here, I'm assuming when Robert Brooks passed, it forced everybody to go back and check on whatever footage they had. And if the officers were assigned body-worn cameras, it forced them to check the body-worn cameras. And with that said, that's why they were probably able to look back and notice that even though the cameras were on, they were not activated during this interaction. Now, granted, I don't know what the policies are for this facility. Each facility may have different policies when it comes to body-worn cameras, and I'll go over a few, but I just want to finish up one more thing on the video recall. The Axon camera continuously records and stores footage for a set period, typically 18 to 24 hours. If the camera was not activated during an incident, the recall function allows retrieval of past footage within that window. The footage is uploaded at evidence.com, so that's an Axon's cloud-based evidence management system, and ensures secures tamper-proof storage. And then it's a limited time frame. The recall function only retrieves footage from a limited time prior to the request, preventing long-term continuous recording that could create privacy concerns. So again, it's good for incident recovery, good for accountability and oversight, good for transparency and investigations, and also good for training and improvement. Now, guys, remember, body-worn cameras are new to prison settings. When my boy Russ was on the show, he retired. They weren't even using body-worn cameras. And my boy Joe, they're in the process of getting ready to implement them. So with that said, people are still trying to develop policies that work best with these body-worn cameras. We're a little bit different than it is on the streets. So basically, the policies are going to reflect mandatory activation So body-worn cameras in some policies must be activated during all inmate interactions, transports, and use of force incidences. Some facilities may not require all inmate interactions to be utilized by body-worn camera because that's a lot. I mean, you could have simple interactions. So they may just request that any interaction that's looking to go towards the negative, that you got to activate your camera. But at all times, the camera should be turned on. The camera should be turned on. And with that said, if there's an officer that goes to activate it and the sound comes on right away, so when you're watching it, you don't have that, let's say that 90-second buffering period, that means that the officer just turned it on in that moment. And that could also be a concern. But again, the policies that are out there are going to be different for each facility, but eventually I'm assuming that we'll all get together, maybe because of an incident like this, and we'll tighten up those policies on what we expect from body-worn cameras. Right now, because of video footage being so readily available, the video footage are starting to outweigh the reports. People are starting to see the reports as subjective. So the video footage kind of is the primary thing that you need, and the reports support it. But with that said, any type of negative interaction with an inmate, any type of code, a cell extraction, the policy should have something in play that mandates that the officer activate that camera. Now, granted, the camera's already on. So the moment you give the officer the camera, that camera is turned on. The policy should at least state that the camera must be turned on at all times. But when it's activated, maybe where there's some discretion at this point. And I think, again, because of this incident, we may find something more universal in how policies will be applied now. I do want to mention that Axon has put some measures in play that avoid tampering. So again, the video recall is definitely a function. If people try to say, well, the camera turned off accidentally, the way to turn off these cameras is pretty unique. It doesn't just turn off accidentally. There's a process to turn it off. There's also a process to turn it on. So it's good that the process is a bit not complex, but it takes a few steps. So it's very hard for someone to say, well, during the altercation with the inmate, the camera turned off by mistake. So guys, this was just a quick video. For me, I find cameras very useful. I know the public now, because they know footage is available, they want transparency, so they want to see the video footage. It carries a lot more weight than reports would. So this gives us a chance to have evidence, especially during use of force, and make a determination based on the video, based on what we see in front of us. So hopefully in the future, we develop policies that are more consistent with how body-worn cameras will be utilized on a national level inside the prison and jail settings. But hopefully this gives you guys some insight on some of the questions that you've been asking me. And as always, guys, stay safe.